To ensure my wife endures an eternity of guilt, I've decided to let my life end by her very own hands. All because she insists on fulfilling her junior's final dying wish, a demand to hold a grand wedding with him. The instant my wife gave him her yes, I commanded the system to extract me from this world. Host, shall we try one last time? No. My heart is dead. Liu Ruyan urged me to divorce twice. Yet I failed to show up at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Only when I lay on the operating table as a terminal patient did she, the lead surgeon, feel true terror and despair. How could it be you? But what truly shattered her soul was the system's decree I would die under her knife, cursing her with a lifetime of unforgivable remorse. Liu Ruyan is a brilliant surgeon. The hospital's legendary miracle miracle worker. She is busy, obsessively so. Busy enough to demand a divorce via a cold text message, claiming she needed to wedge in a wedding for Ayan, whose emotional instability couldn't wait. As I stared at the table of frozen, untouched food, watching the cream on the cake slowly melt away, it felt like our 10-year journey from school uniforms to wedding whites was dissolving into nothing. Everything crumbled. I called her repeatedly. She only picked up on the 4th attempt. What is it? I was busy. Instinctively, I moved to apologize, assuming she was deep in a life-saving surgery. A doctor must always prioritize their patients after all. But then a man's flirtatious voice drifted through. I've already stripped off my clothes. Hurry over and help me wash up. Blood rushed to my head. Liu Ruyan, we aren't even divorced yet. You've got it wrong. I'm just helping wash Ayan's dog. I squeezed my eyes shut, digging my nails into my palms. Liu Ruyan, if we divorce, I will vanish from this world. That was the system's original hard-coded setting, unchangeable by anyone. She remained silent, the sound of footsteps echoing on the other end, as she moved to a more private spot. Fang Yuan, I've explained this 1,000 times. It's just a meaningless ceremony. Once his wish is fulfilled, we will remarry. Why must you always threaten me with vanishing? She only ever calls me by my full name. That icy tone was a dead giveaway of her boiling rage. Seeing that, I didn't immediately push back. Liu Ruyan's breathing grew heavy and jagged. She had warned me countless times that my silent treatment was her biggest trigger. Fang Yuan, grow up. You're staying at Zhao Peiyan's house at midnight, yet you lecture me on logic. Isn't all that hilarious? So, especially since by you're still technically my wife. There was nothing but a long, weary sigh on the other end, followed by cold clinical words that pierced my soul. Fang Yuan, show up tomorrow morning. We're finishing this divorce. I shoveled a spoonful of cream into my mouth, a wave of intense bitterness coating my tongue. It's actually quite comical. She remembers to bathe Zhao Peiyan's dog, but completely forgot that today is my birthday. I suppose when the heart wanders, the memories follow suit. System, do you know any birthday songs? Negative. I only know funeral dirges. Then don't bother. Save it for when I draw my final breath. Initiate the process to extract me from this world. Once I escape this place, I can finally return to my original reality. In that world, even if my body was frail and broken, I had family and friends who truly cherished me. I'm starting to miss the rice noodle rolls downstairs, and the hearty beef soup from the old street market, and of course the warm, comforting congee my dad used to brew. In this world, I was the only one ever standing at the stove for Liu Ruyan, because she was a surgeon. Protecting those hands for her patients was supposedly her top priority. But when I scrolled past Zhao Peiyan's social media post, my world shattered instantly. Those elegant, steady hands, the hands I had pampered and shielded so carefully, were patiently peeling crawfish for him. The caption read, "The miracle surgeon's hands. Only peel for me." It made all my years of devotion look like a pathetic farce. Host, are you sure you won't try one last time? No. My heart is stone. From the second she chose divorce, this mission was destined to end in total failure. It's no longer a matter of if I die, but when. Why not end the suffering now? The system side, self-extraction is an agonizing process. The silver lining is you get to choose your own ending. I took a moment to truly contemplate my demise, then let a faint, hollow smile drift across my face. Liu Ruyan never truly believed I'd just vanish. So let's see her face when I die right under her legendary miracle touch. I imagine her expression then will be absolutely priceless. Friday arrived. I failed to make it to the Civil Affairs Bureau for the divorce. Once the extraction protocol was initiated, my body rapidly began to exhibit symptoms of total decay. My immune system plummeted to zero. I was burning up with a fever, my lips parched and peeling from dehydration. Ruyan, water. Whenever she was home, I always had a glass of water at the perfect temperature. I loved and relied on the way she'd accommodate me in the small things. But when I forced my eyes open, I remembered she had moved out a long time ago. On the very day she agreed to marry Zhao Peiyan, she claimed he's the son of my mentor. Out of respect for my teacher, I have to take care of him. He's literally dying. It's just a wedding ceremony. Can't you be a bit more magnanimous? That day, I just stared at her hollowed out. If it's just a meaningless ceremony, then why the hell do we need a legal divorce certificate? She lowered her gaze, her pale, exquisite face masked by a layer of frost. I can't let him be the other man in his final days, can I? Right, without a legal divorce. Wouldn't he just be a homewrecker? It turns out she was committed to playing this farce to the very end. I watched her with a silent dead gaze, Liu Ruyan. If we divorce, I will never ever remarry you. She froze for a heartbeat, dropping her suitcase with a heavy thud. She gripped my arm with terrifying strength. What did you say? If you aren't with me, then who else do you have? You said it yourself. You're an orphan in this world. Aside from me, you don't have a single soul? Perhaps it was the physical pain of her grip, or perhaps it was the way those words sliced through my heart. I summoned my patience and shoved her away. Let go. You're the one who discarded me first. Yet she ignored me, throwing herself recklessly into my arms. Recalling our decade of shared history, I couldn't stop the tears from welling up. Ayuan, don't be sad. Seeing you in pain only hurts me more. How could I ever truly leave you? She comforted me, looking completely at a loss, peppering kisses from my lips all the way down to my throat. She swore Zhao Peiyan was nothing more than a brother, and I believed her. After all, he had a rare terminal illness and was knocking on death's door. Until a week later, when I went to the hospital to bring her some nutritious soup, passing the open-air parking lot, I saw Zhao Peiyan in the driver's seat. The car windows were rolled all the way down. She was standing outside the window, hands casually tucked into the pockets of her white lab coat. In the very next instant, she leaned down and pressed her lips against the man she called her brother. It felt like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over my head. I watched blankly as she extended those slender, pale fingers to playfully ruffle his hair, telling him to go home and rest. He seemed to mumble something back in response, then donned his sunglasses and sped away. How sickeningly familiar it all felt. She used to do the exact same things to me. At that moment, a chilling realization washed over me. Was this really just about sympathy and responsibility? Perhaps her heart had already strayed long ago. While technically not breaking our marriage vows yet, she was emotionally and logically drifting into the arms of another man. No wonder she was in such a frantic rush to divorce. On the day we were supposed to file the papers, I tossed that nutritious soup into the trash can, and along with it, I threw away the heart that I had once loved her, without a single reservation. Lost in a feverish daze, my phone began to ring incessantly. I struggled to grab the device and answer it. Do you have any concept of time? I've been waiting for 30 minutes. I was delirious with fever, completely forgetting that today was the divorce date. I weakly rasped, I have a high fever. Can we do this another day? My body felt completely paralyzed. I couldn't even crawl out of bed, let alone go there. She let out a cold, mocking scoff over the line. Have you forgotten I'm a doctor? With a constitution as strong as an ox like yours, there's no way you have a fever. You're 28, not a fragile boy like Ayan. Stop acting like a spiteful child. I let out a bitter, dry laugh. You probably didn't realize that little boy you mentioned is only 2 years younger than me. He used to call me his little boy with that same affection. I guess he's just bored of me now, but whatever. I no longer harbor any expectations for him. The second divorce appointment arrived, and once again, I failed to show up. A chaotic accident occurred while I was on my way out. At the intersection, a 2-year-old girl in a McDull pinafore dress sprinted out on her tiny legs to find her father. A speeding car lost control as it veered around the corner. Without a second thought, I lunged forward and shoved her toward the safety zone. Crashed. I felt like my entire body was being shattered into pieces. The driver didn't hesitate for a single second, slamming the accelerator and vanishing into the distance. I managed to glimpse the license plate. It looked hauntingly familiar. In a flash of realization, I remembered the hospital parking lot. It was Zhao Peiyan's car. It was actually him. The girl was scooped up by her frantic, sobbing family, wailing in pure terror. Uncle! Uncle is hurt. I could finally feel the agony. The type of soul-crushing pain where your internal organs feel pulverized, yet there was none of the expected panic. System, am I dying? I felt a twinge of regret that it wasn't going according to plan. But saving an innocent child before the end made me feel like I could die without any lingering regrets. The system lagged for a few seconds before replying with a clinical congratulations. Before the predetermined date of death, the host technically cannot die, not until the day you are scheduled to depart. Only then will the full symptoms of this accident manifest. The system added with a hint of bashfulness, "This is a special benefit I've secured for you." For some reason, the system seemed almost endearing. I smirked. Perfect. When the time comes, I'll let Liu Ruyan see exactly what her new husband did to my broken body. The girl's father and grandmother swarmed around me. You saved our baby. You've saved our entire family. They were on the verge of dropping to their knees in front of me. Despite my repeated insistence that I was fine, they fervently bundled me into their car and rushed me straight to the hospital. How can you possibly be fine? The car's bumper was completely caved in from the impact. Can a human body really be tougher than a car? Left with no other choice, I had to inform Liu Ruyan that I'd been in an accident, asking to reschedule our appointment once more. But little did I know, the hospital they rushed me to was the exact same one where Liu Ruyan worked. Let me see those test results. That familiar voice echoed from above me. Liu Ruyan burst in like a whirlwind, her forehead glistening with sweat. Don't worry, Dr. Liu. Everything was fine before the system's scheduled date of death. No medical equipment could detect the decay within my body. Liu Ruyan scoured every single page of the printed reports with meticulous care. When she finally looked up, her eyes were filled with a strange, sharp hostility. No external trauma, no internal injuries. What kind of accident do you call this? Fang Yuan, what is this game you're playing blowing me off twice in a row? I folded my arms. I was hit by a car. In fact, it was your precious new husband who hit me. A hit and run. She countered instantly without a second thought. Impossible. Ayan is honest and kind. He would never do something like that. So you're saying I'm the dishonest one? That I'm a liar? The moment the words left my mouth. Both of us froze in a heavy silence. A flicker of unease crossed her eyes as she realized it herself. She trusted Zhao Peiyan far more than she trusted me. System, will he be caught? Affirmative. This world still upholds the rule of law. Then my mind is at ease. Let the legal system judge his so-called innocence. If the system hadn't intervened to preserve my life, the sheer force of that brutal impact would have surely left me dead on the pavement. He is nothing but a criminal who fled the scene. I glanced down at my watch. Liu Ruyan, let's go. To the Civil Affairs Bureau right now. Otherwise, I'm running out of time. She tucked her hands into her pockets. Her tone chillingly indifferent. Running out of time for what? To die 3 days from now at exactly 4 p.m. I once asked the system, what is so significant about this specific time? 10 years ago at 4 p.m. was the exact moment the two of you first met. What started together must end together. Liu Ruyan stared vacantly out the window, her voice laced with mounting impatience. Fang Yuan, you should go see a psychiatrist. Liu Ruyan, you're the one who's sick, a toxic woman who wants it all? I pivoted to walk away, but she grabbed me firmly by the wrist. You haven't been eating properly lately. You've lost weight. None of your business. Eat first, Fang Yuan. I was about to refuse when her phone began to vibrate. The moment I saw the name flashing on the screen, Zhao Peiyan, Liu Ruyan instinctively let go of my hand. He was whimpering and whining on the other end, claiming he had a nightmare and was terrified. Liu Ruyan cooed a few soothing words, glanced at me and replied, I'll be back in a moment. As she ended the call, a flicker of hesitation crossed to her eyes. Fang Yuan, go eat first. I let out a cold internal sneer. A nightmare? It's more likely the guilt and terror of hitting someone with his car, because Liu Ruyan chose him once again. She missed our final meal together. I wonder, will she drown in regret when she remembers this later? The final countdown of my life began. I lay motionless on the frigid operating table. Waves of agony, like my organs were being pulverized, slamming into me. It's fine, just endure it. Soon I'll be back home drinking the warm congee. My father brewed in that clay pot. Liu Ruyan's voice still echoed in my ears. That voice message dripping with fury. Fang Yuan, don't think I don't have a temper. Ayan is literally dying. Can't you be fucking magnanimous for once? All because I stood her up for the third time. But I had warned her already. I'm fine. It's just her misfortune that I'm about to die. 10 minutes later, Liu Ruyan, clad in surgical scrubs, entered the operating theater with a face like stone. This wasn't originally her operation to perform, but the system had decreed that no matter who was assigned, it would always end up being her. System, what exactly is my terminal illness? Tumor surgery. Liu Ruyan's legendary gold standard specialty. Why does it sound like the system is actually gloating? The anesthesia has been administered. Liu Ruyan is fully prepped and ready. Her assistant couldn't help but whisper, Dr. Liu, are you truly okay with this? The assistant was well aware of my identity. They had even admired her in private. Dr. Liu's mental fortitude is legendary. Only a true savage could operate on their own husband. Yet Liu Ruyan herself hasn't realized it yet. Lying there beneath the surgical drapes, completely unconscious, is the husband she had berated in a fury just an hour ago. She took the scalpel from her assistant's hand and expertly made a clean 16-centimeter incision across my abdomen. This particular tumor removal wasn't extraordinary compared to her previous cases. Even if it failed, it would stay within the realm of logic, given the high difficulty level of the procedure and the abysmally low success rate. But thanks to her years of elite professional experience, the surgery remained firmly within her control. However, the word accident is the one thing humanity can never truly master. For instance, Liu Ruyan unexpectedly spotted a faint pinkish scar, situated right next to the incision site. Her hand instantly froze in midair. The assistants were visibly taken aback. Dr. Liu was in a trance. I was the only person in the room who knew why. That specific scar was something Liu Ruyan knew better than anyone. During countless nights of passion and intimacy, she had caressed it, and she had kissed it. Yuan, this scar belongs to you, but it's a permanent mark on my soul, because that was the very trace left behind when I took a blade for her. During her residency, I was delivering a meal to her when a surgery failed. A patient who had lost all touch with reality started swinging a fruit knife frantically. Back then, she was just a fledgling rookie doctor. Right as she was helping up another innocent patient who had collapsed, the blade swiped toward her midsection. Watch out! I shoved her aside. In the chaos, the knife plunged deep into my lower abdomen. Liu Ruyan instantly tried to staunch the bleeding with her hands, but the blood gushed uncontrollably through her fingers, staining her palms crimson. Her face was as pale as death as she propped me up and sprinted toward the ER. Not until my wound was stitched and stabilized did the hollow light in her eyes begin to flicker back. With bloodshot eyes and a trembling voice, she buried her face in the crook of my neck. Yuan, seeing you bleed like that, it's unbearable. I'd rather it be me who died instead. I chuckled weakly and patted her head. Then, will you treat me a little better from now on? She kissed my earlobe softly. I'd give my life for you. That day, as she lay nestled in my embrace, carefully avoiding any pressure on my stitches, she spoke with absolute gravity. In Fang Yuan, you're far too kind for your own good. Please, start putting yourself first from now on, okay? The person who once begged me to be selfish was her. Yet the person now calling Zhao Peiyan innocent and demanding I be magnanimous is also her. Dr. Liu is something wrong. Liu Ruyan was deaf to the assistant's voice. She lunged forward 2 steps and ripped back the surgical drape covering my face. Her pupils constricted in an instant, her face a mask of horror and despair. How can it be you? But in that moment, I was powerless to answer. The anesthesia had fully taken hold, forcing my eyes shut as I drifted into the void. My complexion was ghostly, my forehead matted with a cold, sickly sweat. The final stage of the extraction protocol was pure agony. Almost there. It's almost over. Liu Ruyan's throat bobbed, her voice trembling beyond recognition. Yuan? You can't die on me. I won't let anything happen to you. She wanted to touch me, but couldn't, stalled by the fear of infection. The assistants were baffled. Did Dr. Liu really not know? That the man under her blade was her own husband. However, their professional training quickly forced them back into a state of composure, refocusing their absolute concentration on the table. This was undoubtedly the most grueling surgery of Liu Ruyan's life. With a success rate of barely 30%, any surgeon would be paralyzed by the pressure. The moment she picked up the scalpel again, her fingers betrayed her with a slight tremor. But with staggering willpower, she forced them to be still. She suppressed her emotions with years of professional discipline. The surgery resumed proceeding with steady rhythmic precision. Increase the anesthesia. The tumor is showing signs of metastasis. Partial detachment initiated. We have symptoms of massive hemorrhaging. Use interventional embolization to block the vessels. Continue dissecting the adhesions and excise the lesions. Liu Ruyan truly deserved her title as the most prestigious and youngest surgical prodigy in the entire hospital. Everything went exactly as she predicted. She maintained absolute control. It's a success, the staff cheered in hushed whispers. But I wasn't surprised in the slightest. The surgery was guaranteed to succeed for now, simply because my scheduled extraction time hadn't arrived yet. Only 2 hours remained. Following standard post-op protocol, I was moved to the observation ward for an hour. Seeing that all my vital signs were stable and clear, Liu Ruyan regained her calm and composed demeanor. The entire room was silent, leaving only the 2 of us. Aside from that brief icy confrontation at the outpatient clinic after the car accident, it had been an eternity since we'd been in the same room for more than an hour. I never imagined these hands would one day perform surgery on you, Yuan. The anesthesia wore off with unnatural speed, another perk courtesy of the system's settings. I opened my eyes and mocked her coldly. I never imagined it either, that those very same hands would find the time to peel crawfish for someone else. In this simulated reality, we were both orphans drifting alone. Every cent of our tuition was earned through blood and sweat. I remember when we first graduated, we were so broke we couldn't even justify buying a washing machine. The winters in the south were bone-chillingly cold. Every time I did the laundry, my fingers turned a raw frozen red. I refused to let her touch the icy water even once. Don't bother with this. Your hands were meant to hold a scalpel, to save countless lives and mend broken families. Yuan, do you have some kind of hero filter for doctors? Yes. Because in my original world, it was a doctor who snatched my life back from the brink. Fine. I promise I will never betray the love you have for me. The room fell into a silence so heavy you could hear a pin drop. Liu Ruyan seemed to choke on my words, speechless. After a long pause, she let out a weary sigh. Yuan. Yan is literally on his deathbed. Can't you stop being so petty with him? I'm dying soon too. So why shouldn't I be petty? Her eyes darkened instantly. You won't die. Have some faith in my surgical skills. Perhaps realizing I was currently her patient, her voice softened with a hint of unearned tenderness. When exactly did you get sick? The day you demanded a divorce and refused to believe I would vanish. She choked on my retort once again, forced to pivot to another topic. I know you hate scars. I stitched your incision beautifully. The scarring will be minimal. I didn't offer a response. The oppressive silence in the air made her visibly uncomfortable. She opened her mouth to speak again. Dr. Liu, your phone has been ringing non-stop. Yuan, let me take this call. When Liu Ruyan finally returned, her expression was twitchy and unnatural. Yuan, something urgent came up. I have to step out. I'll have the nurses take extra care of you. I knew exactly what that urgent business was. Her original itinerary was to divorce me this morning. then hold her lawn wedding with Zhao Peiyan this afternoon. Dr. Liu really is a master of time management. Truly a busy woman. Liu Ruyan, I have less than 2 hours left in this world. Are you sure you don't want to say your final goodbyes? Honestly, I didn't even want to spend more time with her. If she chose to stay, I might have considered it the last shred of sincerity for our years of love and marriage. A final act of respect. And perhaps I would have returned the favor, lightening the burden of her future guilt just a little. But she refused. Liu Ruyan stood up. Even after a grueling 3-hour surgery, she remained vibrant and full of energy, exuding her usual poised and elegant aura. The momentary lapse in control when she realized the patient was me had completely evaporated into thin air. Yuan, once you've recovered, I'll personally book you a psych evaluation. That calm, composed, and non-negotiable tone, honestly, I absolutely loathed it. Dr. Liu, I truly hope you don't live to regret this. Her expression remained cold, as if I were just throwing another tantrum. She shot me a fleeting dismissive glance, and smirked. I won't. Yuan, what you need right now is absolute rest. With those final words, she vanished through the door, driven by the phone in her pocket, which had buzzed with urgency several times already. By now, her wedding venue must be packed with prestigious guests. Zhao Peiyan probably couldn't wait another second, right? I felt a sense of closure. Liu Ruyan, remember, this was entirely your own choice. After Liu Ruyan departed, the system let out a heavy sigh within my mind. She's officially squandered her final opportunity. I was stunned that the system could feel pity. Host, you're a truly kind-hearted man. I privately negotiated an extra chance for you, hoping you could actually survive and live well in this world. Had she chosen you today, the success of that surgery would have become a permanent reality. System, forget it. Even if she had stayed today, I wouldn't have survived regardless. Because Zhao Peiyan already struck me dead with his car. The system fell silent for a heartbeat. Yes, I am aware, host. But do you want to know why Zhao Peiyan was speeding that day? Why? Because he was racing to the airport to pick up Liu Ruyan. It all makes sense now. That was the day Liu Ruyan was returning from her business trip. Zhao Peiyan was in such a frantic rush to get her because she was in a hurry to meet me and finalize the divorce. A twisted cycle of karma predestined from the start. I let out a soft sigh, even if I hadn't been in that crash. And even if the surgery had been a flawless success, I would never have chosen her again. You no longer love her. The system had witnessed our entire decade. I don't, but why ask? Aren't you the system? How could you possibly not know the answer? Even a system isn't omnipotent, ne? Occasionally even I overlook certain details. Zhao Peiyan doesn't even own a dog. Liu Ruyan was the one who told me that herself years ago. Both her mentor and her junior are deathly allergic to animal fur. People allergic to animal fur don't just keep dogs as pets. The system paused for a prolonged moment, so there was no way they were bathing a dog that night. That voice on the phone saying, "I'm already naked, hurry up," was more than enough to expose the ugly truth. She had strayed completely both in body and soul, yet she had the audacity to deceive me so calmly. It's all tainted now. I can't stomach it anymore. That toxic woman deserves the worst. Something's wrong. The patient is hemorrhaging massive blood loss. Severe tissue infection detected. Dr. Liu's surgery has triggered a catastrophic complication. Cardiac arrest, heart has stopped. Initiate manual CPR and prepare the bypass. Get ECMO ready. How could his internal organs just rupture? I've already detached. My soul is hovering above the scene, watching my life slip away. Dr. Liu. Why isn't she answering her phone? It rang once, but she declined the call. Do you have any idea who actually hung up? Now this is where it gets interesting. It was Zhao Peiyan. Come host. This system will take you to the wedding. The system is becoming more endearing by the second. Before departing, I took one last look at myself on the table. The trauma from the car crash had fully manifested. It was far more gruesome than I imagined. My entire body looked shattered beyond repair. My arm and left leg were twisted at grotesque, unnatural angles, broken into pieces by the impact. How pitiful. At least I managed to save that little girl. She was such a precious child. I'm just glad she's safe. Watching someone else's wedding is actually quite entertaining. Mountains of fresh flowers everywhere. Vibrant balloons drifting through the air. It's the perfect picture of happiness. Too bad it's all built on stolen moments. System, that red wine on the long table looks delicious. Host, you actually seem quite cheerful. Do I need to remind you that this is your wife's wedding? Because I'm finally going home soon. Of course I'm happy. As for Liu Ruyan, she no longer has the power to mess with my head. When I first discovered her infidelity, I was utterly devastated. I was consumed by resentment. I even spiraled into self-doubt and suffered through sleepless nights. Every time I closed my eyes, visions of them interlacing their fingers played on a loop in my mind. I pictured them laughing as they shared passionate kisses, even tumbling into bed in each other's arms. The world I had spent a lifetime protecting crumbled into dust. Eventually, I realized how utterly foolish I was being. I shouldn't allow the actions of a heartless, unfaithful woman to serve as a punishment for my own kind soul. What you must do is fight for every possible chance to step back out and live under the sun. Look at her host, that toxic woman Liu Ruyan. She appeared at the far end of the lawn in a pure white gown, looking exquisitely gentle and radiant. She carried herself with such elegant poise. Even that scumbag groom looked dashing, exuding an aura of sophisticated charm, at least on the surface. There wasn't a trace of the panic you'd expect from a killer. I slowly drifted over to Liu Ruyan's side, overhearing her hushed question to Zhao Peiyan, "Where is my phone?" Zhao Peiyan's gaze flickered with a hint of guilt. "I kept it safe for you in the dressing room." Indeed, a bridal gown with such a sleek custom fit had absolutely no place to conceal a mobile phone. Did I miss any important calls? I think there might have been one. Should I go retrieve it? The ceremony is starting, so don't bother. She kept her eyes fixed forward, her expression unreadable. I wonder if she remembered our own wedding back then. We were so broke we only had silver rings, yet we were glowing. A yuan? Do you regret marrying a pauper like me? Never. Dr. Liu is the ultimate blue chip investment. True to form, she later gifted me a massive diamond ring. But the pure joy I once felt had long since vanished. Ah Yuan, my junior is terminally ill and fading fast. Can I grant him just one final wish? He's only 26. It's so tragic. Ruyango, do what you must. Ah Yuan, his wish is to have a wedding with me. I froze in absolute disbelief. Liu Ruyan, that request is completely irrational. But he's at death's door. Being near death doesn't give him the right to steal another man's wife. Our feelings. Ruyan, this wish is fundamentally immoral. That day she stood out on the balcony for an eternity, before saying with a chilling coldness, "Ah Yuan, you've changed. You aren't the kind person you used to be." Then she left me drowning in a suffocating silence. I sat alone in the vast hollow silence of our living room. Liu Ruyan, did you truly forget that I'm terrified of being lonely? I flicked on every single light one by one, yet the void in the house remained unfilled. Finally, I buried my face in my arms, curling into a tight, pathetic ball. It's not that I've changed, Liu Ruyan, it's you who has become unrecognizable. Once while she was keeping Zhao Peiyan company, I called her whimpering that my stomach was in knots. Liu Ruyan, my stomach hurts so much. That day, she was busy escorting Zhao Peiyan to the very peak of the Ferris wheel, where legends say a kiss guarantees eternal love. The truth is, I didn't have a stomach ache. I was standing right there at the base of the wheel, watching them sitting intimately together. It was my heart that was breaking, not my gut. Liu Ruyan, of course, knew my health better than anyone. Her voice over the phone was frigid and detached. Fang Yuan, I'm a surgeon, not a gastroenterologist. In that moment, the pain was so sharp I felt like I was literally dying. When a partner can no longer tolerate your small pleas for attention, it's a neon sign that the love has vanished. The line between love and indifference is always razor sharp. System, are they almost at the ring exchange? That diamond ring looks so gaudy and fake. Must have cost a fortune, didn't it? Post. Shouldn't you be more concerned about when the police arrive? Let them enjoy their little fantasy for a bit longer. The truth will cut much deeper if they're at their happiest. Senior, I've actually been in love with you for a long time. Today, my greatest wish has finally come true. A flicker of unease crossed Liu Ruyan's face. Her gaze dropped to the floor, her mind clearly drifting elsewhere. Perhaps she was remembering our own wedding day, when I whispered those exact same words to her. Marrying you, my dream has finally become a reality. The irony is suffocating. Today, she abandoned me on a cold hospital bed, just to fulfill another man's romantic fantasy. She likely removed our wedding band only moments ago. The faint pale indentation was still visible on her ring finger. But as for me, I had no such mark. The men's band I once guarded as my most precious treasure was discarded the very day she agreed to marry Zhao Peiyan. I tossed it straight into the trash and never looked back. Now Liu Ruyan's elegant fingers pinch a diamond ring, preparing to slide it onto Zhao Peiyan's finger. But at the floral entrance, several uniformed police officers suddenly burst in. The real show is starting. Need some popcorn for this host. Forget it. I'm strictly on the clock right now. Zhao Peiyan, we have a citizen report identifying you in a hit and run. Zhao Peiyan's lips trembled violently, like a drowning man grasping for a lifeline. He clutched Liu Ruyan's hand. I didn't do it. Surveillance shows your vehicle on Wanghai Road, speeding, striking a pedestrian, and fleeing the scene. The victim was a young male. At those exact words, I saw Liu Ruyan's fingers twitch. She's brilliant. She had to have realized that at that specific time, the person Zhao Peiyan was rushing to meet was her. With a darkened expression, Liu Ruyan yanked her arm away and recoiled 2 steps. She stared daggers at Zhao Peiyan. That day you picked me up in a different car. Was it because the original one was covered in blood? Senior, let go of me. I didn't know. It's impossible. There were no cameras there. Actually, there were. Installed just the day before. One more thing, Zhao Peiyan. You're suspected of purchasing forged medical records. You're coming with us for questioning. In an instant, Zhao Peiyan's face turned ash gray. He didn't even have the strength left to make an excuse. Collapsing like a pile of wet mud, he was hauled away by the police. Awaiting him is the full weight of the penal code. What an absolute disgrace. Arrested on his own wedding day. He looks so honest and innocent, yet he hits someone and just bolts. Talk about a cold-blooded psycho. Wait, so he wasn't even sick. Faking a terminal illness to farm our sympathy. That's beyond wicked. Isn't the bride some legendary doctor? How did she not notice a single thing? There was no way Liu Ruyan didn't hear them. At this moment, she looked as if she'd been violently slapped across the face. Host did, Liu Ruyan honestly never noticed the truth. I smirked. Perhaps she simply didn't want to see it. She envisioned herself as a dragon-slaying hero saving a dying prince, never imagining that the one she shielded was the monster all along. What a twisted joke. That toxic woman finally retrieved her phone from the dressing room, but the battery was dead, leaving her with nothing but a black screen. She pivoted and sprinted toward the parking lot, running with such frantic desperation that she even took a hard tumble halfway there. She floored the accelerator, racing madly toward the hospital. Host, she just blew through several red lights, then let her look forward to losing her license. She bit her lip, not even sparing a second to change out of her wedding dress, as she stormed toward the inpatient ward. Where is Yuan? Where the hell is Fang Yuan? Dr. Liu, there is no patient named Fang Yuan here. What do you mean? Are you all failing at your jobs? Fortunately, her assistant arrived just in time to stop her, stammering out, Sister Liu, there really isn't a Fang Yuan in this ward. Usually the most composed and emotionally stable professional in the building, Dr. Liu was now completely losing her mind and her poise. To hell with that. Then where is he? Fang Yuan, he's in the morgue. Liu Ruyan's entire body swayed violently. She grabbed her assistant by the collar. No, that's impossible. He was perfectly fine just a moment ago. The surgery was a complete success. What kind of nonsense are you spitting? As they hurried down the hallway leading to the morgue, with every word the assistant uttered, Liu Ruyan's face grew a shade paler. His internal organs, it looked like they had been pulverized by a massive impact, as if he had been in a catastrophic car accident. Impossible. I performed the surgery, it was perfect. Sister Liu, the sites you stitched, they all spontaneously ruptured. His intestines, they were literally spilling out. Liu Ruyan's legs felt as heavy as lead, making every step an agonizing struggle. And the tumor cells metastasized instantly, invading every surrounding tissue. Each word was like a sledgehammer slamming into her heart. This meant her surgery was an absolute failure. The miracle doctor? A total catastrophic failure. She had performed countless operations with precision, yet the one time she failed was on her own husband. It was a soul-crushing blow to her legendary confidence. Liu Ruyan's throat bobbed as she struggled to speak. When did he pass? Exactly 1 hour after you abandoned the hospital. And what was she doing during those final moments? She was busy attending a wedding. Her own wedding to Zhao Peiyan. While the flowers and balloons glowed in the sun, amidst that stolen joy, her husband was entering the final dark descent of his life. Liu Ruyan stood frozen, terrified to lift the sheet covering me. Her hands were trembling as if she'd lost all motor control. Come on, just pull it back. Once you do, the system's protocol will finally end, and I can go home to the kanji my father brewed. Liu Ruyan squeezed her eyes shut one last time, then yanked the sheet back, revealing my remains to us both. My face was still somewhat recognizable, but my body was a mangled, horrific mess of broken bones. The system let out a hissat. At first, Liu Ruyan just stared at my corpse in a trance. Then, acting as if I were merely asleep, she tenderly caressed my cold cheek. Finally, she brought my hand to her lips. Ah, Yuan, wake up. Let's go. Let's go home. We won't get a divorce anymore. We'll never ever part again, okay? Absolute silence. No one answered her. Her assistant stood to the side looking utterly helpless and completely out of their depth. Liu Ruyan clung to my body, refusing to let go. Her composure snapping into madness. Fang Yuan, fucking answer me. Get up right now. Let's just go home, please. I'm begging you. Ah, Yuan, I'm truly deeply begging you. Her tears dripped one by one into the crook of my neck. I hate this system. Isn't she going to make a mess of my body? Host, it's almost over. Just endure it. How much longer? At the stroke of midnight, you will finally return to your original world. Fine. I guess I can tolerate a few more hours. Since bodies aren't allowed to leave the morgue, the hospital directors eventually forced Liu Ruyan to go home. Someone has to arrange his final funeral rites, don't they? Liu Ruyan kissed my cold forehead repeatedly, acting as if she were in a daze. Only after her colleagues repeatedly urged her to leave did she finally stumble out of the morgue completely numb. With a deathly calm, she whispered a question to her assistant. Did he leave any last words? Yes. Liu Ruyan's eyes flickered with a sudden desperate hope. He said, He said he wishes you a happy wedding, and that he never wants to see you again. Sister Liu, what's wrong? Liu Ruyan collapsed heavily onto the floor, her knees striking the hard tiles with a sickening thud. She seemed entirely oblivious to the pain, scrambling back up and limping frantically toward the exit. I need to go home. Ayun said his stomach hurts. She fumbled with the key to open the house we once shared. It was pitch black inside. The only light came from the flickering city skyline outside. She didn't even seem to know where the light switch was, because whenever she came home, the lights were always on. I would always be right there on the sofa waiting for her. She called out Ayuan, but of course there was no echo of a response. Clang. A sudden noise erupted from the back of the house. Liu Ruyan charged toward the bedroom like a mad woman. Seconds later, she looked as if the very life had been drained from her. The bedroom was naturally empty. It was just a picture frame that had slid off the shelf. Under the harsh, clinical glare of the overhead light, she stood frozen for a long time. The entire apartment was hollow and barren, looking as cold as an uninhabited model home. Host, you really did a clean sweep. I won't leave her a single shred of my existence to mourn. Exactly. I threw away every single thing that belonged to me, or I donated it all. The photos in the frames, I cut them so only her side remained. Even our wedding portrait was sliced in half. The portion featuring her face lay tattered and discarded on the floor. Finally, she slid down against the wall, powerless, clutching her head in her hands, just like I did when I first discovered her betrayal. She curled into a ball in the corner, trapped in a state of pure shattered disbelief. Yet she was still drowning in denial. 10 long years, not 10 measly days. At first, she was merely sobbing quietly, but soon it spiraled into gut-wrenching loud wails. Ayun, the first was wrong. I was so incredibly wrong. Please, just come back to me, okay? I'm begging you, please come back. She must have forgotten her own words. She once told me, for a powerful woman like me, is it even appropriate to cry? Well, right now, she looks anything but appropriate. A brilliant white light flashed. Goodbye, host. I know it's time to go home. Host, will you forget me? Never, system. You were far too endearing. System, thank you for accompanying me on this bizarre journey. Farewell, farewell. I'm finally going home. Liu Ruyan hasn't stepped near an operating table in ages. She developed a severe stress response. The moment she enters surgery, she vividly sees Ayuan lying there on the table. Her first instinct is always to flee in terror. Dr. Liu, are you truly certain about performing this surgery today? Ayuan loved the fact that I'm a doctor. If I don't operate, how can I call myself a doctor? She let out a self-deprecating scoff, before finally donning her surgical scrubs. Administer anesthesia. Make a 15-centimeter incision. Initially, everything seemed to be going smoothly, until the patient's blood began to gush out uncontrollably. Liu Ruyan's breath hitched and she began to suffocate. Cold sweat poured down from her temples. Flashbacks relentlessly bombarded her mind. Ayuan lying broken on the operating table. Ayuan lying cold in the morgue. Blood, so much blood, the blood from the surgery, and the blood from years ago when Ayuan took a blade for her. Ruyan, will you treat me better from now on? Of course. I'd even give my life for yours. The scene shifted abruptly to Ayuan's final helpless plea. Ruyan, after the divorce, I'll vanish. Fang Yuan, can you stop threatening me with this vanishing act? Fang Yuan, just go see a psychiatrist. I'll make the appointment myself. Liu Ruyan, the sick one, is you. Yes, she truly is sick now. They had worked so hard to build a home together, a cozy little home where a small light always waited for her return. A sanctuary that had anchored her soul for years. A little home where she always belonged. How could she have failed to cherish it? Perhaps the comfort of those peaceful days had slowly turned into a dull monotony. The relentless pressure of performing surgeries, the crushing weight of holding lives in her hands. She desperately needed an escape. And that's when Zhao Peiyan barged into her world. He worshipped her. He clung to her, refusing to be pushed away. To her, he was a vibrant, pulse-pounding contrast to Ayuan. Countless times sitting solitary in her car, she thought to herself, just one moment of indulgence. One fling, then I'll return to Ayuan's side. She was a top-tier surgeon. How could she not have sensed the truth of Zhao Peiyan's health? He handed her a medical report, and she simply chose to believe it. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. She hounded Ayuan for a divorce, convinced that once the marriage was over, the terrifying weight of her own morality would finally stop haunting her. She simply couldn't face the reality that in Ayuan's eyes, she had become synonymous with cheater. Her actions were like robbing Peter to pay Paul, like walking a razor-thin tightrope with every step, until she finally plummeted into the abyss, shattered into 1,000 pieces. That home, the home that had Ayuan in it, she can never go back to it again. Dr. Liu, what's happening? Dr. Liu, the patient is hemorrhaging. It's metastasized, this is bad. It's invading all the surrounding tissue. Later, the hospital staff whispered about it during their breaks, using her story as a grim cautionary tale. That surgery was a catastrophic failure. The lead surgeon fled halfway through the procedure, inflicting irreversible damage upon the patient. The lead surgeon was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Ever since Ayuan left, Liu Ruyan was no longer the miracle doctor. She couldn't even stand to be a doctor at all. The Dr. Ayuan loved most was the Liu Ruyan he first met, back during the Qingming festival. I'll take a bouquet of those lilies, my husband's favorite. Ayuan's final resting place was serene and clean. It seemed as though many visitors had come to pay their respects. The photograph on the headstone featuring a radiant smile sent a sharp agonizing jolt straight through her heart. Ayuan should have still been so young, but over these last 3 years, she had aged 3 decades looking utterly withered and broken. Just as she reached out to touch the stone, the voice of a 6 or 7-year-old girl echoed from behind. Don't touch it, don't touch him, I won't let you disrespect my godfather. It was the same little girl Ayuan had sacrificed himself to save. Get out, just go. Your new husband murdered my godfather. You aren't welcome here. Liu Ruyan let out a faint, bitter smile. She never imagined Ayuan's hatred would run so deep, refusing to even let her handle his final arrangements, entrusting everything instead to the little girl's family. Liu Ruyan trudged silently out of the cemetery, looking up at the leaden, suffocating gray sky. It felt as though the heavens themselves were about to weep. It's raining, run! A sudden thunderclap erupted, and a torrential downpour began to lash the earth. In that moment, she was transported back to that one summer. Senior, don't get soaked. I have an umbrella right here. Ayun had barged into her long isolated world with that very same tenderness. By the time they reached her dormitory, his shoulder was completely drenched from the rain, while she remained perfectly dry. She had felt so incredibly guilty, realizing he had completely prioritized her comfort over his own. But he just smiled, his eyes sparkling. It's fine, Senior. I've got a sturdy constitution. He was so pure, so kind. How could she have ever had the heart to berate him? How could she have dared to tell him to be magnanimous? Guilt, once a tiny sprout, had taken root deep inside her body, growing into a suffocating web of dense, thorny vines. With a soft thud, Liu Ruyan collapsed into the curtain of rain. Crimson blood snaked through the rainwater, staining the ground. The blade that Ayuan had blocked for her all those years ago had finally come full circle to claim her. Only this time, there was no one left to take the blow for her. She recognized the person who had plunged the knife into her. It was the grieving family member from the final surgery she had botched. Perhaps she thought she truly deserved to die, abandoning the operating room halfway through, and causing the death of someone's cherished family member. Those who betray sincere hearts never meet a peaceful end. Just look at her, Liu Ruyan. Ayuan, are you coming to take me away? Aside from the relentless drumming of the rain, there was absolutely no one to answer her. After death, she finally encountered the system. This is only because you were once a brilliant surgeon and saved the lives of countless patients. In a serene golden evening, Ayuan was dozing on a lounge chair by the door. Ayuan, what are we having for dinner tonight? Claypot congee and salt and pepper baby potatoes. The potatoes are a non-negotiable must. Knowing his favorites, Liu Ruyan's guilt began to sprout again, because she actually detested potatoes. It turns out Ayuan had been accommodating her for 10 long years. But then a clear, sweet fragrance drifted past her ears. I'm already stripped down to nothing. Hurry up and come feed the kid. Stealing lemons from my yard again. Go ahead, let the sourness kill you, brother. I'll make you some lemon tea to drink. Do you want some? I do. Liu Ruyan suddenly noticed something devastating. Ayuan had only one healthy leg. The other was a prosthetic limb. Brother, you only have one real leg. How can you run so fast? Because I'm actually an alien, with a leg made of pure steel. He was so incredibly optimistic, just like the Ayuan she had once known. No wonder he loved running so much, and lived for physical sports. It was all because of the physical scars he carried. Yet he remained so resilient and full of joy, surrounded by a sea of genuine love. He was cherished by many, and he gave his heart freely to all. To his father, his friends, his brothers, the little girl he had rescued, and even to the cold clinical system itself. He loved everyone except her. He wanted absolutely nothing to do with her anymore. Liu Ruyan suddenly realized with chilling desolation that even in death she was utterly alone. The news in that other world was broadcasting. The once legendary miracle doctor Liu Ruyan met her pathetic end outside the Wang family cemetery, with no one left to claim her corpse.